So welcome back to DC Silver Age Storytime, and we're back in the Golden Age with more fun comics number 92, published in July-August 1943, featuring Dr. Fate. Two great cleverness may identify a thief almost as well as fingerprints. Dr. Fate, for instance, knows that not one thug in 1,000 could have planned and executed the maneuver of the millionaire's mummy, and that thought sets him on a trail that leads back in time, back to the master criminal he has outwitted once before, and then forward again to the happy occasion when fate turns back clock. So Dr. Fate is walking around, wonder what's going on in the museum. It was closed hours ago. Something wrong must be something something must be wrong. So he goes in and finds a bunch of criminals in there stealing a mummy. Sounds wacky, but I'd better put a stop to it. So he starts knocking them around. And the mummy actually comes and attacks him. Fools! It's Dr. Fate. Bullets won't hurt him. They try shooting him. But this will. I've often wanted to choke him to death, and now's my chance. Arg! I'm weakening. But he manages to flip the mummy off of him. We better get out of here, boss, before the noise brings the cops. The cops do arrive. It's Dr. Fate. What's going on? Nothing much, except that a mummy tried to kill me and then ran away. What? It can't be. Mr. Goog, the millionaire, gave the mummy to the museum, and he doesn't go in for practical jokes. Sure, he's too busy worrying about his health. He's always seeing doctors. But even a hypochondriacal millionaire may go in for crime. I better visit him. So he visits, I can't remember his name, Goog. I'm the new doctor to see Mr. Goog. Another new one? There was one here yesterday. Yeah, a fat one. He must have stayed a long time. He didn't come out while I was on duty. A fat doctor who didn't come out again. Come to think of it, that mummy was rather fat. So he goes in there. So you didn't really call me, Mr. Goog. That's strange. But now that I'm here, I'm glad to examine you. I hope that you're better than that fat doctor. Poor... Those pills he gave me were no good, and now I'm upset because my mother's jewels were stolen. I guarded them so well, and yet last night somebody drilled open the safe door and got away with them. What? Mr. Goog, the chauffeur, is missing. But he didn't steal the jewels. We searched him as we always do before we let him go. I think I'm beginning to understand. So they search Kent Nelson. They search everyone who leaves. The fat doctor must have been a crook who knew he'd searched if he left this way. So he even calls him Fat Doctor in his personal thoughts. The chauffeur was another crook. He helped his boss get the jewels, then smuggled him out as a mummy with the jewels wrapped inside the bandages, and Mr. Goog still doesn't suspect how it was done. That robbery was too neatly planned for an ordinary criminal, and besides, that mummy's voice was a bit familiar. I wonder... No, Mr. Who is still safe behind bars. And so is the clock. Thought it might be he, since he's just about as fat as that mummy was, if he didn't have a perfect alibi. So it turns out, he's got a secret passageway out of there. Bring the watchman inside, boys, and one of you take his place. They're working fast and skillfully, like clockwork. As usual, time for me to get in the picture. So he gets in there and starts beating everyone up. I'm celebrating the 4th of July, eh? Dr. Fate again. Hey, we can't run no more. We're trapped. Yes, I think you're run down, clock. Well, he punches this guy, but the clock sprays him with some seltzer. What? It's taken away my breath. I should have done a little more clock watching myself. How's he talking if he's getting sprayed in the mouth? And now this will slow you down a bit. So bullets have no effect on him, but a bottle to the head, that takes him out. I feel paralyzed. I must think quick. Can't think of anything better. Maybe that will help. Boss, he's so woozy. He's stumbling all over the place. So much the better. Lock him in before he recovers. So they lock him in this wardrobe. As I suspected, these doors are a bit too thick for me to handle. I'll have to use these rockets I managed to push in Lucky they weren't sold for the 4th of July, so you can kind of see where he's kicking them in. I'm beginning to feel stronger now to get after the clock once more. Okay, so if he kind of wedged his body in there and pushed with his legs, apparently that wouldn't be strong as these fireworks banging against the door. I don't think that would happen. I think he would just be in there with a bunch of fireworks blowing off. He may make for the jail again, but merely putting him back into a cell isn't punishment enough for him. He needs a lesson. Hey, boss, sounds like Dr. Fate's got a gun. Get started fast and drive around the corner. I'll settle with him if he gets out. If Dr. Fate comes along, keep him busy. Shoot at him if you want to, then run. Okay, boss, only you know that shooting don't do no good. The best way to handle him is to run first. My magic ring glows most strongly when I fly in this direction. The thugs can't be far ahead. There's the truck with the loot, and here's where I fix the clock. And he starts punching people again. We're wasting ammunition, boys. Bet he minds mosquito bites more than he does bullets. Or a glass bottle to the head, apparently. So they bury him with this crane. Here's a little mud in your eye, and even if that's not all, hope you've got the sand to bear up when you really smother this time. I don't know, it must be a phrase I've never heard of. Poor Dr. Fate, and he thought he had me. Now to get back to my cell, where the warden provides me with an alibi and a comfortable hideout. So it looks like he's just kind of laying on the sand, but that's supposed to represent him being buried. He says, I've only got a few breaths left, and I can't move my arm or legs. About all I can do is move my fingers. If I can move my fingers, why not my toes? That's it. I'll conserve my strength. So he kind of moves his toes, and it, I guess, pushes him up a little bit, and then he pops out. Fresh air. But if I had tried to use brute force instead of my head, I'd never have reached it. Okay. So I'll be a little more wary this time, but I really don't think the clock expects to see me again. Huh? It can't be. It is. And am I glad to know I've got a face that can stop the clock. And he punches the clock in the face. Punches this guy. If my men haven't brains enough to look out for themselves, it's their bad luck. I've done all I can to protect them. So he jumps in a boat. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm the clock. And you've seen your last second unless you help me hide from Dr. Fate. Don't shoot me. Get under the hood. Dr. Fate won't think of looking for you here. I've cleaned up the small fries, but the clock has vanished. All the same, he can't escape from me for long. I can follow, but I prefer to anticipate him. So he goes into the clock's jail cell. What a surprise is in store for the clock. He doesn't realize yet that I know how he gets in and out of his cell, but he will. Well, welcome home. You again. You'd better return that loot you stole as a mummy, or you'll look like a real mummy before I'm through with you. Ow! I'm keeping mum. Well, if you insist, I'll see what breaking a mainspring will do. You don't hit me again, I'll tell. I found this second-hand clock at the end of a tunnel leading from his cell, warden. Trying to break out, eh? No, trying to break in. Don't give me that story, clock. It's solitary confinement and hard labor for you from now on, and that is, I believe, that his last appearance in the Golden Age and maybe forever. Bullets and bandits are a laugh to Dr. Fate when he employs his magic powers. Does he really have magic powers? I'm not sure. To crush crime, and they mean plenty of chuckles to you in the next exciting issue of More Fun Comics.